Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed my other videos for the Cohort. In this final video, I'm just going to give you my opinions of the game itself. Now, as you saw from the sample gameplay video, the Cohort is very much a take-that style of kind of game, and it does play from 2 to 6 players. So let's ignore the player count because I definitely want to comment on the player count in just a moment, but let's take the game for what it is and just look at what the game itself. This is a semi-luck filled game. Well, actually, it's a little more than a semi-luck filled game. There's a lot of luck involved in this game, and this is very much a game that's take that mechanics where you're allowed to directly interact with other players and you're allowed to make life difficult for the other players. And there's also a very strong press your luck kind of element to the game. You're basically playing a game where you're trying to make sets of cards, which makes it sound very simple on the surface. But the challenge of this is you kind of want to hoard these cards in your hand because you know the moment you place one of these cards down, something negative is going to happen to you, and that's going to make life much more difficult for you, make it harder for you to make these sets, or kind of give advantages to other players, or it's also going to, most importantly, let the other players know what cards never to give you, because if they give you these cards, obviously you're going to make the sets because you're going to try to win the game. So the game has a nice little sliding scale to it. There's a lot of push your luck elements to it, but there's also lots of take that and a lot of pushing your luck elements because you don't want to hoard these cards in your hand. Because the person who's hoarding the most cards is the first person who's going to be targeted by somebody as soon as they complete a cohort, flip their cards over, and they're going to pick you and make you discard your entire hand. So you have to push your luck a little bit in this game. And that's going to be the most important thing I need to press upon you before you look into this game or decide this is a game you want to play with your family or friends. If you don't like games where there's direct player interaction and you have to press your luck and you basically have to take some gambles and take some chances once in a while, you're probably not going to enjoy the cohort because that's something you definitely need to do. And it's also going to be kind of a sliding scale when we talk about the player count, which is now something I want to circle back to. The game does list as a game for 2 to 6 players. Now, I personally do not think the game is really that great as a 2-player game, and I think they need to come up with some kind of dummy player mechanic or something similar before the game is going to be really good as a 2-player game. And simply because the way the mechanics of the game are really made. Now, if you saw the tutorial video, at the start of every single round, you're basically going to draw 2 cards, and you hand one of those cards to the other player. In a 2-player game, there's only one person to hand your cards to, and it becomes pretty much very much a memory style game because you're going to be playing it going, okay, I know last round I handed that person this kind of card, so if I hand them that card again this round, I'm basically giving them the game and I'm going to allow them to make a complete set. So a lot of the take that mechanics becomes more of a mechanic where you're racing to become the first person to make a complete set to force the other player to discard their entire hand. So as a 2-player game, I don't think that this game is going to shine the most, and if you're looking for a 2-player game, I'd actually suggest that you probably want to look twice at this game before you pick it up as a 2-player game. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, the game does play up to 6 players, and the game does get a little bit longer, and it does become a little bit more, the luck is going to become a little more predominant when you go into the higher 6-player count of the game. So that's something you need to balance. Do you want more of a luck-filled game where there's going to be lots of luck, where people are playing all the cards, and it becomes much harder to memorize who you've given cards to, and you're going to start seeing a little more luck of cards such as this card right here where you're randomly giving another player another card. It's going to affect the luck of the game on that aspect also. Now, in the dead center of the scale, you have about the 4-player count, which is where I think this game shines the most. And it does really good as a 3-player game also, but I had the most fun with this game as a 4-player game. And again, that does seem to be the magic number for this game. It gives you the right amount to kind of memorize what kind of cards you're handing off to other players without getting too much luck because of the randomness of the draw of itself and the randomness of other players also handing cards to that player. But it also compensates that by also minimizing the amount of luck in that aspect. But it also allows you to kind of watch which cards you're handing, watching the cards going around, and you're going to start seeing the game kind of plays really good with 4-player because the amount of luck is kind of minimized while maximizing the strategy, but it also allows the game to play in what I think is a perfect amount of play time for this game. Because let's be honest, any kind of game which is basically a take that kind of game kind of starts getting stale after the 30-minute mark. You hear a lot of comments, a lot of times people say games like Munchkin is a great game for the first 30 minutes. Flux is a great game for the first 30 minutes, but after that the games just kind of drag on. And that's the nice thing about the Cohort is even though it's a take that kind of game, it's got take that kind of mechanics, and there's a little bit of luck involved with a little bit of strategy. The nice thing about this game is it's not going to take more than 20 minutes, even with a 4-player game. Now, a 6-player game may take 30 minutes, may take up to 35 minutes. You're basically looking at about 5 minutes per player with this game, which is what I think is fantastic. So I enjoyed the game. I had a lot of fun with the Cohort. I had a lot of fun playing with my kids because they just have a heck of a rambunctious time. Having a lot of fun throwing the cards, forcing everybody to discard cards and trying to make the sets and just having a lot of fun. Overall, I think the Cohort is a good game. It's a fun take that kind of game, a fun push your luck kind of mechanics kind of game. It has a perfect playtime for those kind of mechanics. The game is very enjoyable for what it is. The artwork's really good. It's a fun game to play. At its player counts that are optimal at 4 players. Had a heck of a lot of fun. I can definitely suggest it as a game to pick up and check out if you're looking for a nice take that kind of game with a little bit of a memory element to it. Hope you enjoy this video. I hope you enjoy this video series. If you want to see more videos like this, click that like button, click that subscribe button. As always, thanks for watching.